What are some of your other non-negotiables for gut health?
Oh my gosh. Well, one of the things that I really try to encourage is diversity in your foods, so we're in this society that's like so dogmatic. It's like, oh, we're either vegan or we're paleo or we're carnivore or whatever it might be. But I'm just a fan of eating a diverse group of foods. Really trying to, I'm guilty of it. I'm such a creature of habit of going to the same vegetables that I like and easy to make. But I really try to find different things that are in season, go to the farmer's market and finding different, fruits and vegetables that are different that I don't eat all the time. So eating a diverse group of foods is really important. I think some type of calming practice, whether it's meditation, deep breathing, a stroll. I'm a huge walker. I walk every single day outside, even in the cold winters of Chicago.
How many steps do you track?
Oh yeah. Like the other day was like 20,000 steps. I love to walk,
amazing.
But I usually try to do 10,000 a day. But that was an exceptional day. But I just love to walk. But I'm a fast walker. But I think it's important just to stroll sometimes, which my body almost can't do that, but I try to do whatever it is that brings you calmness, whether it's reading a book or, sitting out by a body of water or whatever it is. But being calm is really important to support our gut health. And that sounds so woo-woo, but it's so true that there's this huge gut-brain connection. The brain is sending signals to the gut and the gut is sending signals to the brain. So when like you're excited about something, like what happens? You get butterflies in your stomach. Mm-hmm. Or when you are
anxious.
Or anxious. Yeah. What happens when you're anxious? You have to go to the bathroom.
Stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. Or your stomach, whatever. There is a huge connection. And so it's really important that we find a practice that calms us down. And it is so hard in the world we live in. It is so hard. So give yourself grace. But if you could try to like carve out time to just be calm and zoom out in life a little bit, like this particular thing that you're stressing over isn't going to matter in 5 years. So just zoom out and just try to, be as calm as possible because it will be so beneficial to your gut health. People who have IBS have like I'm forgetting the exact number, but like threefold incidence of having anxiety and depression because they're completely connected with each other, the gut and the brain. So I'm trying to think of other things that are just so supportive. Eating organic, staying away from antibiotics is super important. Of course, antibiotics save lives, so I wouldn't, if you're dying, I wouldn't say like, oh, I want to protect my microbiome, but we obviously want to make sure that we're careful about taking antibiotics when they're not necessary. The CDC actually did a study showing that over 50% of antibiotics that are prescribed are actually unnecessary. And so we have to really be mindful of how often that we're taking antibiotics.
Yeah, it's tricky. I used to take antibiotics a lot because I was prescribed them for anything. For the common cold, I would be prescribed antibiotics. Even a few months ago, I had a cold and it was like very much in my sinuses. And I was like, okay, I don't know. It feels like it's getting worse. Like, I'm not sure. Nothing is making it better. I was doing all the natural things. And someone said, just go on a Z-Pack. And I'm like,
no,
maybe. You start to wonder like, okay. And then like, I have anxiety sometimes about that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I don't want this to turn into something or, but I didn't take it. And then I obviously got better. So yeah, they have their time and their place, but I think that we are so overprescribed antibiotics. I feel like this might be kind of controversial, but like SSRIs, I think are really overprescribed and I think they're life-saving for so many people. And if you are depressed or you have debilitating anxiety or whatever, then like, absolutely, I'm not one to judge. And I'm not trying to vilify SSRIs, but I do know that they're also kind of just handed out now for everything. And
I don't think they're having much success. That's the thing that is sad about it, is that they actually are sometimes counterproductive to what you're trying to do. And that's what I've always said, like psychiatrists have had their hands tied because the only tool they've had are these SSRIs and anti-anxiety meds when really they haven't been looking at the gut. And the gut is what's, 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut, our happy hormone. We should be focusing on our gut health before we go into, let's try these other measures first and then go into some prescriptions out there.
Yeah. It's kind of like when all you have is a nail, everything's a hammer, or when all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. I always miss.
I'm the wrong person to ask. I always mess those things up too.
Yeah, but that analogy, and I think that I was just having this conversation before with a neuroscientist who was on the podcast, and we were talking about how everything is siloed. And I don't think that it's necessarily like the practitioners having some kind of ill intention. It's just like that's the tool that they have, and they're only looking at one thing. So that's the tool that they're going to use. And it's hard. It's hard for doctors. I think they're so constrained now too with insurance and things like that. Their hands are tied, to your point. And it's kind of like they only have so much time. They can only look at so many things. Yeah. So it's hard for someone to go, you know what? Let's do a stool test. Let's do a blood test. Let's look at, your micronutrients and vitamins and hormones, all of these things that really influence. I mean, it can literally be night and day.
Yeah. I mean, it is so frustrating. And we've been talking about this for 11 years. I mean, about how the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare system is a sick care system. And it's so frustrating because we know that these doctors are being taught how to prescribe medicine and fix a disease. There's no emphasis on maintenance of our health. There's no maintenance. There's no discussion of, prevention or anything like that. It's really all about these silos that you mentioned. And I think it's so, like, I'm so encouraged by podcasts like yours, getting the word out there. People are understanding, but there's just something about our society that is so, well, my doctor told me to do this, and it blows my mind, the research that is out there on the gut and how it's tied to everything of our overall health. And if you go to your regular internist, it'd be very rare that they would have any conversation with you about your gut, unless you had some digestive discomfort, when really we know that there's so much that is associated with our gut health besides digestion. And it blows my mind. Or like doctors will say, like, be on a multivitamin. I'm like, being on a high quality probiotic is so much more important, because when if your gut is inflamed, it's not absorbing all the nutrients in that multivitamin. You're taking vitamin D, vitamin C, which are super important nutrients. But if our gut is inflamed, it's having so much trouble absorbing those nutrients. So it is really frustrating, but I do think that there's a shift, and I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a shift. And then I hear from a lot of people that it takes something like 17 years for research to then get incorporated into like the curriculum at medical school, or like be incorporated into regular practice.
Yeah.
So it might be a while before we see those conversations, maybe another 10 years or 15 years or something like that. But, now we have so many functional medicine practitioners and even traditional Western doctors who are leaving that model and becoming more, functional, integrative, however you want to call it. Because I think that so many people just can't really turn a blind eye anymore to the fact that, everything is interconnected, and it is not beneficial for anybody to silo these things off and just throw medication.
Yeah, no. And I do think that there's some good changes, but it'll take a while. So it's like, I just always feel like we need to make our bodies resilient. Mm-hmm. And in this world we're living, we have to make them resilient. And I'm not waiting for anybody else to do it for me.
Exactly.
And I just think like, people who have sat through and listened to this podcast, I mean, they're already like empowering themselves and are interested in taking care of their own health. And I think that's huge, because you have to start researching, listening to podcasts, doing your own research, and figuring out what works for you and what makes sense. Like, I'm always about like common sense, what makes sense. And so this whole siloed medical system, it just doesn't make sense. And you see medical doctors, like you said, just leaving that space. I mean, because for their own health, they're realizing this isn't working anymore. And so it's good that it's getting out there.
Yeah, and we have so much in our control. I think that we outsource it to the doctors, and now I think that a lot of people are taking that control back, because there are a lot of things that we can do just on a daily basis to, like you said, make our bodies resilient. And yeah, just starting with the gut, starting with things like simple movement and walks and sunlight and hydration and all of, healthy diet, like that can do so much. Even for me, like with my histamine intolerance, my primary symptom is like debilitating anxiety. Not mental anxiety, but that feeling when you almost get hit by a car if you're driving and your whole body goes, and it's adrenaline and you're shaking. It's that 24/7. And to the point where I was like, I can't function. Maybe I do have some kind of psychiatric thing. This is crazy. And then I started eating low histamine, gone.
Wow.
I mean, and that's happening in the gut. It's crazy.
Exactly.
So it's night and day. And had I not done that, I could have, been on all
SSR,
kinds of,
route and all that
medications.
rabbit hole. Right.
Mm-hmm. So it can be so powerful, these little changes. It's just hard to know where to start, but, trial and error.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I feel so strongly about this. You start with your gut, whatever it may be, just start with your gut because that will make you the most resilient. And we know we want a diverse microbiome. And this is undisputed by experts. If you have a diverse microbiome, you have health. That is you can't find any condition out there that's not associated with an imbalance in your gut. Like any disease out there, unless it's when it's a non-communicable disease, it's all associated with our gut health.